Hey there, everybody. Okay, welcome to the great video face-off. This is camera A. I'm not going to tell you which camera is doing what. You guys can tell me what you think, and then I'll make another video and I'll tell you which camera, what the settings were. And I'm going to try to keep the settings as consistent as possible. So this is camera A. And so yeah, so I made a comment, and I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. You know, the Fujis really leave me scratching my head. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. And back in 2006, 7, 8, I was doing a lot of landscape photography. And I was using the Nikon D200 and Nikon D300. The D200 was a CCD sensor with 10 megapixels, and the D300 was a CMOS sensor. That's when they swapped over, and it was 12 megapixels. And like, I was selling a lot of work at markets and things, and I was trying to get, I was trying to print large. And the limits of those cameras was, the limit of those cameras was 16 by 20. And I wasn't pleased with the results, really. Like, I had to play games. I had to use selective sharpening, like sharpen some areas and not sharpen others, so I'd give the illusion of overall sharp. I mean, I was playing games to get it to the point where I could say, okay, I'll sign that, I'll sell it. And that was at 16 by 20 inches, or 16 by 24. In the 2:3 aspect ratio. So fast forward, you know, here we are, and there wasn't much of a difference between the D200 and the D300. I'm not really sure. I mean, it was only 2 megapixels, number one, but it was also a CMOS sensor versus a CCD. And rumor has it that CCDs are sharper, whatever. I mean, it's really 6 of one, half dozen of another. You know, the D300 was a cool camera. No question about that. The D200 was a cool camera. But it wasn't, there was no real image quality boost. I didn't think so. There was a learning curve. It took me about 6 months to dial it in so I could feel confident with what I was capturing. But, yeah, maybe not 6 months, a couple of months. But, yeah, so let's switch cameras and we'll give you some different video, and I'll pick up where I was with that. All right. Switching back and forth, man, that's interesting, because I got to make sure all the settings are as similar as I can get them. And it's really kind of interesting because the other camera exposure was completely different. So I'm using auto white balance for all this, and I'm using aperture priority, and I'm shooting with the lenses wide open with IAF for all the cameras. So and I'm using the optimum or the preferred profile. So this is camera B, as in Bravo. So, okay. So, so fast forward to today, and I've got 26 megapixel APS-C Fuji XT3, XT4, XS10, and honestly, you know, 16 by 20 is the limit. I may not have to do the selective sharpening, but I'm not comfortable going bigger than 16 by 20. And so what, you know, is it my workflow? Is it the Fujis? I'm suspicious that it's not APS-C. And for me personally, you know, like, it's the law, well, not for me personally, but it's the laws of physics. Like, that's the image quality, you know, you're going to get out of APS-C regardless of how many megapixels you have. And for me personally, you know, 16 by 20, 16 by 24 is as large as I want to go. Now, having said that, there are a couple people on the internet, Nigel Danson, who, you know, he seems really thorough and a lot more crackerjack than I am. I think he hasn't said so, and maybe that's why his channel's got 400,000 subscribers, because I say stuff that pisses people off, and he won't. He's diplomatic. it's cool. I'm not putting him down. I really like Nigel. Nigel, you know, the guy has printed large. I know what he was doing. I mean, so he's doing what I'm doing here, in the sense that I'm making this video comparing camera A, camera B, camera C. I'm not really doing it for you guys. You guys just benefit from my trials and tribulations of me trying to figure out what's the best video camera that'll work for me. And I just happen to be bringing you guys along for the ride, which is cool. And that's what Nigel did he tested the Fuji X-T3 versus the Nikon Z7 versus the Fuji GFX 50R, I think. It's a great video. And he printed like, this shoulder's still not working. And that's another thing I learned, just to go off on a tangent. When you have a bad rotator cuff and you can't lift your arm, backpacks don't work. Just saying, I broke out the venerable Domke F2, and that's what I've got everything in, and it's on the ground right there, getting nice and dirty. But yeah, backpacks don't work if your arm doesn't work. So shoulder bags work better because you've got one working shoulder. Anyway, Nigel printed these meter big prints, and he shows them to you, and you know, he goes through them. But after that video, I find it interesting that he didn't pick up a GFX Fuji. He stuck with the Z7. For him, that was the sweet spot. I totally get that. Like for stills photography, yeah. So, and what's brought all this to a head is that the ZFC is an APS-C camera. And I'm highly suspicious that it's 20 megapixels, not 26 or 24. I don't think it makes a difference. I'm starting to get very suspicious of that. It's APS-C, and I think that if I shot stills with it and I got an image that I wanted to blow up to 16 by 20, I think 16 by 20, 16 by 24 would be the limit. Regardless of how good, I mean, okay, tonality and micro contrast and all that might be a little bit better than one versus the other, etc. It might be easier to use one versus the other, etc. But I think ultimate image quality for me, printing large over 16 by 20, I think I gotta bump up to full frame. And I even noticed that, so there's two ideas there. I hope I remember the second one. There's two ideas there. I even noticed that when I threw a D700 in my old D300, D200 kit. They're all 12 megapixels. It's counterintuitive to think that one would be sharper than the other and make bigger prints. Not true. Maybe it's not counterintuitive because larger negatives make larger prints. So larger sensors make larger prints. I think it carries over. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it carries over. But when I got that D700, man, that 16 by 20 barrier was broken. Like I was happy with bigger prints. And it was the same megapixels. It was a full frame sensor versus an APS-C sensor. I think that's what I'm banging my head against here. And why it's so alluring and why I try to do that is because I love the Fuji camera system. I love the size of the lenses. I love the size of the cameras. I love using the cameras. I like how the buttons work. It's taken a long time to come around, but I really enjoy the Fuji cameras. But you know, if Fuji made a full frame, hey, but that ain't never gonna happen, I don't think. Okay, the other point that I wanted to make, and I think I remembered it, is that if you go to Nigel Danson's website, you'll find that 2-3 years ago when he was shooting pretty much exclusively APS-C, doesn't really matter what cameras they were, but they were Fuji's, like those prints that he's selling only go up to about 16 by 20, 16 by 24. He doesn't offer prints bigger than that. I think Nigel has the same aesthetic ideals that I do, and I think he's looking for the same level of quality that I am. I think we have similar tastes in terms of what we find acceptable, because he won't offer anything out of an APS-C Fuji, I don't think, I haven't been able to see it, and I've looked, bigger than 16 by 24. As soon as he started shooting with the Z7 Nikon, and I don't think it makes a difference if it's a Nikon, I think it makes a difference that it's a full frame. all of a sudden, bang, he's offering 20 by 24s, 24 by 30 somethings, I mean bigger prints. So there is that. Time to switch cameras. Again, camera C coming right up. Hey, okay, so here's camera C. I hope I got the settings. I hope I didn't miss a setting, because I don't want to come back out here. And of course the lighting would be different too. So it's kind of important I get them all right. And there's like 5 or 6 different settings on each camera times 3 cameras. That's kind of crazy. So, so yeah, this is camera C. And you know, for stills photography, hands down, there's no question about it. The full frame Nikon Z6II at 45 megapixels is the business. It's just amazing. The image quality is fantastic. The image quality exceeds my needs. Okay, there's no limitation about 16 by 20. If I'm making a 30 by 40 and it's not sharp, I screwed up. It's not the camera. So that's a wonderful feeling, okay? And it's relatively small, it's relatively lightweight. The camera feels tough as old boots. It's not a pro Nikon. Right now, Nikon only has one pro level camera, that's the Z9. What's Nikon doing? That's stupid, they're leaving money on the table. Nikon marketing really pisses me off. Like, I want a Z8, there's no question. I want a pro level Nikon. I want a lighter weight pro level Nikon. I want the D850 in a Z camera. Me and about 1 billion other people. But Nikon's got their head so far up their ass in their marketing department, I'd really like to slap somebody, because that's just stupid. The whole world, the Nikon comes out, I'm ranting again. Nikon comes out with a D850 and the damn thing's back ordered for like 3 years. Clue, there's a clue, there's too many clues in the room, to quote Gordon Lightfoot. They come out with the D850 and the thing's back ordered for like 3 years. The only reason it's not back ordered now is because people want mirrorless cameras. Get a clue. You know, and instead the marketing department at Nikon gives us the Z7II and the Z6II, which are fine cameras, but they're not the D850. What the hell? You know, there should be a Z8S and a Z8R. The S is for standard and the R is for resolution. And it should be the same camera, and one should have a 24 megapixel sensor and one should have a full frame sensor and one should have a 45 megapixel full frame. So I'd spend money on that. Nikon's leaving money on the table. Having said, the ZFC should have been something more than it is, okay? But yeah, and it's very, very frustrating. But on the other hand, what we do have isn't bad. And did they make something good enough that, and for the right price? I mean, it's expensive for what it is, considering, you know, they're not giving you the top of the line cameras, they're giving you prosumer cameras or consumer cameras, where they should be giving you prosumer cameras in the ZFC and a pro level camera in the Z6II, Z7II. But whatever, I mean, you know, that's frustrating. But on the other hand, the cameras are a pleasure to use, the image quality is excellent, and the video quality is excellent, okay? And the problem is, you know, another thing to keep in mind, there's 4 major companies that are making full frame mirrorless systems. Panasonic, didn't forget them this time, Panasonic, Canon, Sony, and Nikon, okay? Maybe that is the sweet spot, okay? And there's only one camera company making an APS-C system, and that's Fuji. And there is a niche for the APS-C system if you don't need the printing image quality to go bigger than 16 by 20, in my opinion, for landscapes. If I were shooting weddings and doing social work, hands down I'd be shooting Fuji. No question about it. No question about it. Okay? For the weight and for the size and for the speed and the 2 UHS 2 card slots, yeah, I'd be shooting XT4s all day long. No problem at all. Even XT3, because I prefer the screen for stills, okay? But shooting landscapes, you know, there's no place to hide. If I want to print large, if somebody orders a larger print, it doesn't happen too often, but it happens. Like I want to be able to offer something bigger than 16 by 20. And it's not a Fuji thing or a Nikon thing. It's an APS-C thing, okay? And that's what I'm starting to conclude, you know? So yeah. So for the 4 major players for full frame, you know, you go through. I mean, Canon has decided that, you know, their cameras are made out of solid gold, and they're going to charge you by the weight of the spot price of gold. I'm sure they're great cameras, but holy smokes, you know, an R6 for $2,600? You know, the R5 is $3,800. That's making Sony look good, okay? When you can get a Sony A7R4, 60 megapixels for $3,000, okay, on sale at Christmas time and during the year, yeah, I'd take that over to Canon's and deal with all the Sony issues, okay? But the bottom line comes down to is all those Sony issues go away when you get yourself a Z6II. Same price as the A7R4 on sale, and just buy any of the Z lenses and they're all spectacularly good. Whereas with Sony, now you got to start playing the game like, what, you know, there's lots of lenses, but half of them suck, maybe more. So yeah, all right. So this is camera 3. This is the video quality on camera 3, and there you have it. And we'll see what we will see. So in the comments below, did you like A? Did you like B? Did you like C? Did you like a combination of A and C, or B and C, or A trounced B and C, or C trounced A and B? You get the idea. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for coming along. Like I said, I didn't really make this video for you guys, but I'd love your opinion, and maybe it'll help somebody who's looking for a video camera to do vlogging with and wants really good quality and higher level quality. There's more to it than just video quality, but all 3 cameras that I've used today are usable, and you can see that in the sense that I've used them. Some of them are a little easier to use than others, but they're all totally usable, so there is that. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I really appreciate it, guys. We're gonna figure this video thing out and see where we're at. Have a great one, and we'll see you out here like that. Bye.